Hey there, everybody. We're going to be talking about how to pick a real estate investing market. I'm Paul David Thompson. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I don't depend on a day job anymore because I picked a market and started investing. And I'm going to show you how to do the same thing. So first off, you want to figure out what your strategy is. So there are a lot of different verticals or mechanisms by which you can actually purchase property and make money. So are you going to be doing raw land, single family, multifamily, commercial, mobile homes? There's all these different verticals to go down, and I recommend to you to pick one. Pick one and become a master of it. And then within that vertical, figure out what kind of deals you're going to be doing. Are you going to be doing flipping? Are you going to be doing buying hold? Some interesting combination of both. What is your strategy? What is your mechanism by which you're going to make money? Determine your strategy first. Then you start with what you know. So the way you often help determine what your strategy is by starting with what you already know. What I don't want you doing is trying to figure out how to be a mobile home park manager if you have never had any experience with being a mobile home manager, unless you know somebody who can help you. You found a mentor, or it's just something that somehow resonates with you. Pick one vertical and then a strategy within that vertical that makes sense for you. When I started, I didn't know anything about real estate. I had only bought 2 of my own properties as a owner-occupant. I bought a house, I moved into it, I lived there like everybody does. Well, I used what little knowledge I gathered from doing that to do single family. That's what I knew the best, and I had the least amount of learning curve to overcome. That's what I suggest for you to do as well. And if by default you don't know anything about real estate, I suggest maybe starting with small multifamily or single family. I'm talking between 2 to 4 units, or a single family, a house, a townhome, something that doesn't have a lot of dynamics that you don't already understand. Single family is intuitive to most people because you've lived in houses or you've rented a house before. You kind of know what people want out of houses. There's not a lot of new information to figure out what a complicated commercial lease is. It's very intuitive to you. But if you happen to know somebody who is, like say maybe you're a commercial loan officer, that might be a really good inside track to becoming a commercial real estate investor. Use the knowledge, your inside knowledge that you have, and go down that path. So once you select your different strategy, you want to pick a market, and you want to pick based on relationships. So you can do a lot of research and try and find all these the stack ranking of all these markets, and we'll use the example of single family because that's what I know the best, and that's what I suggest most people start with if you don't have some other inside track. So you decide, I'm going to do single family, and you decide to go and find a market. Well, which market should you invest in? Should it be the one you live in? Should it be the one you went to college in? The market does matter. It's tough to do single family rentals in LA, for example. The price and rents just don't work for you. Your return is very low, or if you borrow money, you may not be able to make money. It won't cash flow for you. So you're kind of trying to figure out, if I'm going to be doing flipping and I have access to capital, then maybe California is a great market because you can actually have huge opportunities to buy a property, fix it up, and sell it. And that is a window, an opportunity for you. That's what works in that market. However, if you want cash flow, which is probably what I would suggest for the long term, your strategy would be, is you want to own properties and hold them for the long term. You can build a lot of wealth doing that. If you hold, or if you do fix and flip, you can make some money doing that. But after you sell that property off and you make your, $50,000 to $500,000, whatever it is you make, it's a big capital insert. But then you got to go find another deal. I'd rather find one good deal and make money off of it for a long term, so that income can help replace my day job. Because if all you ever do is flip, then you've just bought yourself another job of flipping houses. And if you like doing that, more power to you. But think about the long term and create streams of income over the long run. That's what investing is over the long term. So what is your strategy? Where do you live? And work on relationships with people who are in markets that do work. So if you live in the Northeast or out of the country or California or somewhere in the Northwest where the property values are too high to do buy and hold rentals, then you try and find a market that does have good price to rent ratios and you know somebody in the market. That is what is so important, is focusing on relationships first and then seeing if they live in an area where you can make money. Because if you're going to be holding properties, you're going to be holding them for 10, 20, 30 years. And if that particular market is number 10 on the stack rank of markets, 20 years from now it might be something else. So I don't really recommend chasing down the hot markets unless you're like a hedge fund. You have the money and the resources to go buy your relationships. If you're a small-time individual investor, like what I am, you go where you have a relationship. I have a friend that lives in Mississippi, and I know a market down there that works really well. I might start investing down there because I have relationships. I can pick up the phone and I can talk to people quickly and get a hold of people. So focus on relationships. Once you find your market and you have connections inside of that market, then you do your market analysis. And then you dig deep and figure out if that particular market makes sense. If it does, proceed further. If it doesn't, maybe you need to find another relationship someplace. Maybe Louisville, Kentucky is a good spot. Maybe Indianapolis is a good spot. Wherever you know people and have good relationships, they can help you find deals. So the way you do your market analysis is you try to figure out, is that market have a good price to rent ratio? Can you find properties that work at the 1% deal or better? And I have a different video on what the 1% deal is if you want to see what that is. And if you can get a better deal than 1% for working class, good neighborhoods, then you have an opportunity to find deals. And then once you figure out what your given market is, say it's Louisville, just a random example. If it's Louisville, I think I spelled that right, then you, within that market, you choose your farm area. You don't want to invest in the entire area. I'll do up here. So I'll erase this. I'll erase this. So you can see, I'll just erase the whole thing. So what you do is you decide that you want to do Louisville, and then you go out in concentric circles. And you just go out until you find your slice of the pie. Maybe this zip code right here is the one that makes sense. This is your target area. You don't want to invest just anywhere inside of Louisville because this might be the expensive part of town and the price to rent ratio doesn't work. This might be a hyper affluent area, but this over here might be where there's jobs. There's an Amazon fulfillment center right here, and there's an interstate that runs right through there. That might be a good opportunity for you to start investing in properties as the city starts to grow out towards this Amazon fulfillment center along this corridor where I'm just making that up. I have no idea if Louisville has an Amazon fulfillment center or if there's an interstate going here. That's just kind of things you're thinking about, is where do the numbers work now? If I can find, if the retail value of this property, those properties in that area, are in a dynamic where I can get the 1% or better, which 1% to say maybe 1.5% deals, then you're looking at a good window, and that window is probably somewhere between $75K to $150K. So this one might rent for $850, and this might rent for say $1,400. Somewhere in that range is, if that makes sense for that range, then you're going to start marketing to that zip code. You send them letters, you do skip tracing to find opportunities there. You call agents to say pull listings that have been on the MLS for greater than 90 days. And you start working to send opportunities, or you send messages out to sellers, and you want to find a deal within that market. And you just start working your farm area. I refer to that as your farm. And that might be somewhere between 1 to 3 zip codes. And those are the processes that you work to find a real estate deal in any given market, because you narrow it down and you focus and you stick to that one vertical. You don't start doing single family here and then 6 months later you jump over to multifamily, and then 6 months later you jump over to mobile home parks. You want to stick to a vertical, and then once you master that one vertical, then you might make a lot more sense for you to actually switch over to another, because you want to scale up your business. but become really good at one thing. Thanks for listening. This is Paul David Thompson. If you want to hear more, I have a podcast called Ready Investor One, and feel free to put some comments down below. Ask me more questions. I want to help you some more.